Good morning, everybody. GM. Welcome to Takeoff Tuesday. Awesome. All right. Well, welcome. Good to see you all. Quote of the day. Let's jump right into it. Quote of the Never be afraid to try something new. Remember, amateurs built the Ark, but professionals built the Titanic. Isn't that interesting? Never be afraid to try something new. And remember, amateurs built the Ark. Professionals built the Titanic. Wow. All right, well, we're definitely trying some new stuff. Hey, want to give a big shout out to the top 10 ICMs this week. Well done. It's great to see new faces on the chart, as well as some returning to Mike and Bree in the number one spot. Number two, Richard Stock. Number three, coming out of Idaho, is Cade. Well done to you, Cade. Number four, also from the Idaho team, Michael Saunders, working closely with Mitch and Maley. Excellent work, guys. Wyatt Remington out of the Idaho team working with Kendall. A lot of Idaho people this week. Well done. Let's see who's focusing on what. Congrats to you, Brandon. All righty, we got Mike and Angie Hewitt in the number 7 spot. Jerry Warmkessel from New Jersey in the number 8 spot. Bobby T from the Chicago area, number 9. And in the number 10 spot, Mr. Scott Rowe, also from the Chicago team. So, well done, guys and gals. See, it's a representation of the difference that you're also making for people, right? It's it's hard to remember what it's like to not know about velocity banking, for example. And so once you learn something, then that kind of just becomes a part of you that you kind of take it for granted. You forget how awesome things are going because someone reached out to you, someone recruited you, someone told you, come to a meeting, someone told you this will be the best money you ever spend. And now, because of the new ideas, the new vision you have, it's hard to remember what it was like to not know, especially the further you get away from it. So, what I'm saying is that Mike and Richard and Cade and Michael and Wyatt and Brandon and Mike and Angie and Jerry and Bob and Scott, all these guys and gals are actively changing people's lives. They're introducing them to a life-changing program, and it's immeasurable how much value that. Today's not my day. We're going to let Mr. Bill Predebon bring the lesson, bring the heat, bring the answers to your questions. But just want to make sure you guys, if you see them in the chats or you see them in the groups, tell them congrats because it's working. It is working. Awesome. Just a few other things about the calendar. Just wanted you to know that we're going to be doing a learning blocks workshop with Cosimo on Thursday on Zoom. We are kicking off the first flip challenge season 6 next Thursday, which also happens to be Mitch Nelson's birthday. Then on the 24th, we're going to be doing the fractional real estate workshop. Okay, showing you how to compound, grow, and control and stay liquid with your real estate. That'll be super fun. Really eye-opening. It's going to be for guests as well as for all of you to learn something new and exciting. So January is full. There's a Super Saturday coming up as well. And then I'm also, I don't know if you guys know this, but I started a flower farm. And so next week, I'm also going to a flower convention in Nashville. So that'll be fun. Combining land use, agriculture, and real estate all in one. So it'll be fun. Anyway, January is going to be super packed, a lot of opportunity between the new trainings, the challenge launches, the upgraded platforms, more of the community vibe put together. So anyway, I'm super excited. I'm also excited about Takeoff Tuesday with Mr. Bill Predebon. For those of you who don't know, Bill has been all over the country when it comes to his real estate. Uh, I have only done it in a few states, but this dude is fearless. He's got it on coast to coast, east and west. He's got it on the borders, north and south. He's all over the place. Very well versed because each of these areas have different laws, different networks and connections, different markets and understandings. And the guy's just obsessed with building a portfolio, having fun, living his best life ever. He's done short sales, fix and flips, wholesaling, lease options, subject to seller finance notes, land development, um, PPMs, you name it. The dude is very experienced, a veteran, as we say in the trenches. I think he could probably write a few books if he hasn't already. But the other thing I love about him is his willingness to coach and teach. He takes time to answer people's questions, guide them through a process, and he lives it. He does it. He is a product of the product because when he first found us, he was flat broke. That's the experience I had coming in here was I need money and I need money now. And Bill was in that same position. Luckily, he stayed open-minded and started doing the marketing side too. Started building a team while doing his deals. And inside of his first year, completed over 10 transactions, never had the same life again. And now here he is. He shows up week after week to help invest in new students and pay it forward to the other volunteers, leadership people around the country, and share his insights on deals, the market, opportunities, problem solving. And he's a proud member of the $100 million Put to Work Club. He's put to work over $100 million in real estate. Very happy to have him here on the call. So let's give a big warm welcome to the man of the hour, Mr. Bill Predebon, GM. Good morning.
Good morning.
I was just telling Vanessa, I think winter's over today. Went on a great walk this morning, and it's 58 degrees in in the first week of January. Yeah, I think spring is sprung, and it's exciting. It doesn't feel like winter anymore. How's it in your world?
Um, I played tennis on Sunday. It was like 80,
Never gets winter in your world, huh?
but it's weird. There was other places. It's like I know Michigan got really cold there. Chicago got cold. Um, they're getting a lot of snow up where I'm from. I got to check my cameras. Yeah, I don't know, but it's good here. I like it. It's cold in the morning, like, but all relative. But 50 degrees here is pretty cold because the desert's so dry.
Right. Well, I
And
was just thinking too about like going outside to do more marketing and door knocking for workshops. I had so much fun last spring doing it, thinking about doing it again and getting a little antsy about starting early. Um, it's funny because the lazy guy in me is like, no way, can't I just pay someone to do that? But also, since I experienced it, I know how effective it is. That if I want to get more results, I got to get outside. So anyway, that's just what's been on my mind.
right on. Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Just checking out the chat here.
Good
Uh,
morning. Good morning, Bill. Good morning,
good
Michael.
morning, girl.
So, um, I, I'm just, wondering, can I ask a question now? I mean, this is not real estate question per se. So, um, I think it's more like this is more of my Michael question. So, is that all right to ask it now, or do you want me to wait later?
No, you can ask it. Oh,
You had your
oh.
chance yesterday, Gilda. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, my question is, the ISN, and I know, from what I'm gathering, all the information, you guys are doing the same sort of like the same thing as what we're doing here at 3030. And what I worry about is, as you went through yesterday with all those, point system that, every time you do something and, you get graded basically and stuff. So here's my take. I mean, I really want to be, part of this. I love the morning calls, and at least with this one, I could be, I'm on, like, actually I'm already working, but there's some things that I can arrange where I'm not, like, I can still listen, I can participate, or I can help out and stuff with, in the mornings and stuff. And but what you were talking yesterday, it's gonna be more involved time wise as, like what we're doing, because I am part of that, and I'm even behind with the 3030, and then we're doing the V2, and this week we're just starting out with that. So time wise it's not, but I really want to be part of the calls. So I was just wondering if there's a way that, we can just be part of it and just be on the calls, not on the other stuff like that you have to do. So that's because I don't want to be part of it, and then all of a sudden, I'm getting like a 0 points, and other people have 90s, and I have 0 points because I can't do the stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm already struggling that
Yes,
with the thirty
yeah,
thirty part
I
of the
think,
challenge, and
yeah,
part of this one, and now we're gonna be learning this new V2 system, and so there's gonna be more work there as well. So what do you think? What do you think? I mean, I hate to miss you guys. I love this, morning calls. I do. So.
okay, so take a breath. Everything's gonna be just fine. You're not getting graded. Um, there are points that are rewarded for people, but it's not grading. It's not you're losing something. It's just we're rewarding the people who are doing other certain things. So calling it grading, I don't think is accurate because there's no punishment, there's no infractions. Um,
But is it not gonna look bad with, like, for people to go in there's like, oh, Gilda is not doing anything.
who
This.
cares what people think about you, Gilda? There we go. Gilda sounds like a validator, says Eric. Yeah, it's all good.
Okay. No,
Well, I
I'm not
don't,
a validator.
and
I
we're
just
not
don't
really.
want it. I want to help the community, but I don't want to. I don't want
No,
to.
you help the
y-
community. We're not doing anything like that.
Okay.
That's it's you. If whatever you're doing 3030, you're not gonna have to join another group and contribute and have another time frame and list of chores to do. We're not doing that. You'll have the opportunity to join Invest Network or whatever, but it it's not going to be like that. And you know what I think of is when you bring this up is do you remember that what was the name of that challenge, Gilda, that Bob did?
Oh, the Spartan.
The Spartan. And what's interesting is I think the the concept was great. And the idea was to get new people involved. And there's a lot of people that are lack self-discipline because not because that they're just lazy, but because they just don't have the experience or the wherewithal. They've never had that type of training and they're new to business, let alone network marketing businesses. So they needed a kick in the ass and they needed help. They needed a leg up. And that was what it was for. But Bob was rewarding people, if you recall, by having on stage. I think there was a point where a lot of people were just doing it, wasting their time, in my opinion, by being on all those calls on their 13th or 15th time. And you look back, it meant nothing. There was not to the people that got something out of it, and maybe even you did your first, second, or third time you did it. But
I only did it once.
right. What I'm getting at is, there was the guilt of not being on, you were recognized if you were on, 5 Spartans or 10 Spartans or whatever, and all this stuff. But you look back, it didn't change anything. So we're not, that's not our goal. You know what I mean? So you have nothing to worry about, like Michael said.
Okay.
Our goal is to make sure you have the guidance to escape the matrix. That's our goal. And it's not just information, but it's also implementation, community, exercises, different things like that. And it's not just around money, right? We talk about health, relationships, everything here. But the main goal is escape the matrix. We're going to use real estate to do it monetarily. And yeah, that's a good point, Bill. You don't need to do a million challenges. Do the ones that work for you. I'm invited to challenges all the time. And some of them I say yes, some of them I say no, but I'm glad when I do them for sure. They're not easy, right? But it's worth it. And last year I gave myself my own challenge, which was awesome. So,
Right. If we do anything, whatever we do, it will be to give people more opportunity. We're not looking to give people more work.
right. So
We're looking to create opportunity for people to take advantage and maximize what's already being offered. That's it. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Sounds
can
good. Sounds good then. Yeah. I just like, again, I just don't want to be, the one like for people that don't have the time or like we already have it and not, you know, not helping or contributing to the community because have the time to do it because we're doing another one. So, you know what I'm saying? So,
No, I understand what you're
okay.
saying. I mean, I
Okay. Well,
definitely
thank you
get it.
so much. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go with we'll get with Mahalani
Mahealani.
Mahalani in a minute, and let's go to Audrey
yeah.
with this deal. And again, it doesn't have to be real estate. I mean, I know this one is and and whatever the call takes us is totally fine. It doesn't matter. So, but I'm
Hey,
glad.
Bill.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to jump in there. I just don't want to get away from where we are right now. I've been away for a minute, so can you just give me a brief synopsis of what she's talking about in terms of what to join? What is it like for the E3 or marketing or I mean just before we get to real estate,
No, yeah.
just a
I
summary,
can elaborate.
just a quick summary.
We're gonna change this platform. Um, uh, we're gonna connecting a few things with Mitch and Maley and their but Michael, you can go ahead and explain it. There's nothing's really changing, to be honest, but go ahead,
Right.
Mike.
The schedule's staying very much the same. Morning calls, super Saturdays, an intensive here and there. But the way that you're going to experience it and interact with everybody is going to change. I didn't like how when we end the Zooms, everything was over, all the chats were gone, different discussions, or that if you want to catch a recording, you had to go into YouTube distraction land. So we're bringing it all in house. We're using Investor Secret Network's platform, the video streaming, being able to store all the videos and then all the conversations, the comments, the uploads, everything that we create on each of these calls is then stored in there. New people, if you miss it, you go back and watch it. Every time you watch it, engage with it, you're going to get points on the leaderboard. And the idea is to maintain engagement, have stuff to do every day that isn't just busy work, like Bill said. To hell with busy work. We're not about that, but there is stuff to do every day in order to make your dream a reality. So, since we don't have the same luxuries of in-person offices like bigger markets do, we're making a 24/7 office inside Investor Secret Network, and then depending on what kind of real estate you want to do, is what spaces you'll hang out in. But all of my calls, Bill's, we're adding on a Thursday call and a Friday call. And it's going to be on different things. It'll be on tech, it'll be on real estate, it'll be on leadership, all the stuff we talk about, but it'll be more captured, a little more organized. And then you're logging into the thing that you need to be doing anyway. You don't need to go to YouTube to catch the recording and then get baited into 30 minutes of nonsense, or Facebook or whatever. When you're in Investor Secret Network, you're checking on your team, you're doing your chats, you're catching up on calls, you're doing the things you said you were going to do. There's the calendar of events that's also inside of there. And so putting that all in one spot, I think, is going to speed up the next wave of students we're about to get. Really looking at another 1,000 students. The Zooms, we can handle them for sure, but what do we really want? And so I know Mitch and Bill and Tamara and I, we're all working on 1,000 new students this year, maybe more. What would that look like? How would we want that to be? And 1,000-person Zoom would be too crazy. So we need something with more structure, and we should do it now before they all show up and we get out of control. And those who are not a part of ISN will not have the benefits of the network. Gosha, I saw your question there. And so normally we would charge everyone 50 or $100 a month to pay for event space and make the whole system run. And we called it the OES, or the BBF, the business builder fee, or the optional event subscription. Since these things cost money and take time and resources to work, everyone's going to pitch in a little bit. So everyone pays their $97 a month, but then you get all the everything that comes with it. So we're actually making ISN even better. If you're not a part of it, then you ought to be. The resources that are there, the support, the accountability, the challenges, everything that's in there, totally worth it. Use my link to sign up. There's that link. Sign up, everybody, if they want to. That's not really your job, though. Your job is to build your portfolio. Tamara, Bill, me, Earl. Our job is to expand the student base. If you want to, by all means, share the link. But if not, just use it. Get 100 deals done, and then pay it forward to the next round of students, because they come in waves, right? There's especially around E3s, they come in big waves of students. So anyway, there's the big broad version of it. I will keep rambling if I'm not checked. So Bill, back to you.
Okay. So don't worry. No one's gonna be left behind. We'll figure it out. It's not. Nothing to worry about. You guys just keep doing what you're doing. Nothing's gonna change on this side. All right. Yes, we're still using the back office calendar, all of that. Nothing. Yeah, it's not like that. We're just trying to enhance. That's it. Okay. Go ahead, Aubrey. I have to apologize again. Aubrey sent me a text, and then she called me last week, and then I still haven't talked to her. So I'm going to bring that up. But go ahead, Aubrey. Let's see what you got. Is it the same
Okay.
thing you texted me about?
Yes, it is, and it's kind of crazy. So yeah, just a background, like I had a lead who was supposed to go through foreclosure today at 11, or to auction, and then yesterday his lender actually called him at 3 p.m. and said that his loan mod was approved. So it kind of changes things. So yeah, I'm almost done with the 2 short sale classes, but that was the only real estate transaction that kind of made sense. As far as like wholesaling or flipping, it didn't, because the house is so new. So I've never done a short sale before, so I was just curious of any tips or things that I should watch out for, especially because it's a VA loan. If that
That's
kind of
even better.
changes things.
Okay. So First of all, I need to apologize to you for not getting back to you, especially since it was urgent. A lot of times when I get a text, you guys, this is for everybody, that's large. I swear to God, I don't know what my problem is. I'm like, oh, so what I do is I put a little star on it and I'll respond without sending it. So it's a draft in my text. And then I intend to get back to them by the end of the day. And then sometimes it's too late. I've got tennis or, you know, go out to dinner, whatever the case is. And then I look at the next morning and then it gets buried. And what happens, especially if it's a longer text, I haven't read the whole thing. So I might have missed the urgency, and that's on me. I don't, I got to take the time to read them. And half the time, even with my friends or whatever it is, I do the same thing, even business associates that are, and so my point to this is that if there's something urgent, just hit me up. I know you did, and then I'm like, oh, I'm going to call you right back, and then I didn't call you back. That's not on purpose. That's just because, again, I didn't prioritize very well and didn't keep my word. So you are not you, Aubrey, but anybody, you're not bothering me if I don't get back to you, and you call me again or text me again, um, regardless of how urgent it is. So in my case, if I guess the squeaky, what do they say? The squeaky bird, something.
The squeaky wheels get the grease.
Yes, that's it. So if the more you bother me, the more I'll get back to you faster. Anybody for that matter. So on this deal, folks, number one is what's my rule when it comes to real estate? Anybody know? You probably don't know this, but I'm just going to shout it out there anyway. Somebody might know. My rule is make an offer, right? Get it under contract. Therefore, you hold the position. It starts when a contract is written, everything starts, right? And nothing is finished. There's 100 outs. In fact, there's only one out, and the out is you have an inspection period, right? The only contract you can't get out of is if you sign a contract with a wholesaler and they demand a non-refundable earnest deposit. But if you never send in the deposit, do you think they care? No, they're going to send it. They're going to give the contract to the first person who binds the contract with a non-refundable earnest deposit, if that makes sense. Does everybody understand that? So in this case, Aubrey, number one is, and we'll talk a little bit about short sales. And one thing I don't know is exactly how the banks operate in short sales in today. They're all different. They all have a short sale department now. They all have almost a process of how short sales are taken. But one thing that hasn't changed, when a contract comes in and it's signed by the buyer and it's signed by the seller, the bank will get that short sale and they can then operate in another department, right? In loss mitigation, which could be also their short sale department. And they can get somebody outside of customer service and the loan mod department. Loan mod department cannot stop a foreclosure until they get with the loss mitigation department, right? In order to send the bank trustee a message to stop the foreclosure, right? So if someone's in a loan mod process and it doesn't get even if it's getting to the point where the loan mod department is accepting the loan mod and is almost done, the other hand's not talking to them. They're still foreclosing, right? That's a whole nother department. The foreclosure process was already paid for. They already paid the trustee to go through. The bank's not foreclosing. The trustee is foreclosing. The bank just hired the trustee to foreclose. So what that means is, but once the bank receives, when I say the bank, the right department receives a contract, they can stop it because now they have something to go on. One thing they don't know is the value of the home. It's not like they've got a desktop value, but they've never really done a valuation of the property. They have no idea if the offer is valid or not. It doesn't matter if the offer's 100,000 and they're owed 500,000. It doesn't matter because they don't know. They have to go evaluate it before they accept it, counter offer it, or reject it, right? So just like a bank in a regular sale right? If your house is for sale for 500 and I go, I'm going to give you $1 million and put 10% down. You're like, cool. And I go to the bank and I want a $900,000 loan. The bank's fine. I qualify for the loan. I'm working with a loan officer. Everything's good. What's last on the list? In fact, it's first on the list as soon as the goes under contract because it takes the longest. But before anything can happen, what needs to happen? The bank has to understand they got to order an appraisal, a third-party appraisal. In the old days, I'd go out and get my own appraiser and appraise the damn thing for $1 million, right? Because I made a $1 million offer. Now it's gone through a third party. No one can talk to him. The real estate agent can't talk to him. The broker can't talk to him. The bank can't talk to him. You can't talk to him, right? They call up the seller to get access to the house and they go in and they make an appraisal. If the appraisal comes back at 500 grand, the bank's not going to lend me 900,000 and I can't buy your house. Okay. Same thing with a normal transaction. So in a foreclosure, in a short sale situation, which this clearly is, the only problem is you've got to have the right packet for the bank. That's where the short sale class comes in. They're going to be updated. They're going to be on current bank rules and regulations on what the packet looks like. Because typically you fax in or you email in or you upload in the entire packet at the same time. So it's a complete packet. So the bank doesn't sit there and get piecemealed with a bunch of documents they need, like a loan officer. They want to see the whole thing. They want to see the hardship letter. They want to see everything that needs to be done so they can make an educated decision once they get the BPO, right? As soon as they get a contract, they're going to order a BPO. The key to a short sale is the BPO, right? When you have a VA loan, when you have a FHA loan, when you have a conventional loan, all of those loans have a parameter with which they can take a discount on a short sale situation, right? If it's not based on the offer, and you can interrupt me or message in the message machine or anything if you have any questions and I'm going too fast, or if I say something you don't understand, just interrupt me, anybody, Aubrey. And I don't even know, Aubrey, if I'm answering your question, that might not even be your question. So keep letting me know where you want to go. And then we can go specifically to your deal.
Yeah, this is good. I do have
Okay.
a
Yeah, go
question
ahead.
though.
Yep.
So I did a conference call with him talking to his lender because he's like, I don't know what to say or what to ask for or what to do. So I was just there to support him. So his lender at the time a couple weeks ago or a month ago said it's like too short notice to do a short sale now, but if you find someone who will buy it for a decent price, then we'll negotiate. So I was kind of confused what the difference was there, or if you know.
What do you mean it's too short notice to do a short sale?
Yeah, that's what he said. He said they needed 90 days notice before the auction date to do a short sale. But then he turned around and said, but if you find a buyer who's willing to buy it at a decent price, then we
Okay,
will.
this is what this means. Everything's not like it used to be. So everything has a system. So what he's saying is the bank representative is, and when I say the bank, the lender, okay? And a lot of times the loan is no longer in the portfolio of the bank that lent the money, right? So all of these lenders, including Chase Bank and your standard typical A paper banks, Bank of America, where you go in and you bank, right? But all the other banks that are in the world, right? Remember, before the crash, there was 1,300 banks. I don't know what the number is now. It dropped all the way to, banks went into dire straits, and we were left with less than 600 banks by the end of the crash, 2008, 2009. They have since gone up. Banks have taken over other banks. The FDIC took over any banks that were what you would call insolvent because of all of the loans that they held. If you can understand this, And this is where some of the other classes come in. Gracie, you're not going to be able to bark at it today. I know, I'll come back and get you. So banks become insolvent when they have it's important you understand this, especially if you're negotiating with banks on REOs, auctions, and you want to stop foreclosures before they foreclose. Having this information, understanding where the bank is coming from, enables you to, because the bank basically becomes the seller, right? The seller is no longer a seller. They still have to agree to it, but they're going to agree to whatever you say, Aubrey. Okay, so when you know that when a bank has a loan that they've lent, and if the bank is servicing the loan and the loan is in default and is not being performing, which means the borrower is not paying, then it goes into a liability. Now the bank is liable for the money, right? And so therefore the government, right, the Federal Reserve looks at them and they say, oh, you've got $100,000 loan that's not being paid on. So in order for you not to be insolvent, you've got to put $3 to $5 away in a non-interest bearing account to accommodate for that, right? So imagine if they have $1 billion of non-performing assets. They do all these loans and all these loans aren't being paid. So they can't service the debt. They're not making any money. The Federal Reserve is not only not going to give them, right? If they have a performing asset, right? On the other hand, they have an asset that's performing. They have a loan that's $100,000. You're paying back the bank. They're taking their cut and they're sending it off to the investor that owns the loan, right? Wall Street, wherever it is. Well, then the Federal Reserve says, wow, you're making a shit ton of money. You're doing great. Here's $7 to $11. You can go borrow this money from the Federal Reserve at 0%, 1%, and go lend it out to other people, right? So now not only is the bank not getting $7 to $10 in Federal Reserve money, they're actually having to put money away that they can't lend out, right? So they're going in the wrong direction. The more of those things that happen creates an insolvency for them, creates an opportunity where the bank has zero value. Okay, so back to the point is when the bank said, now that all of these rules are in place, and the banker says, when I say the banker, I mean it's some sort of person that has a title in the bank that's in a department that has to do with, they have a short sales department, a foreclosure department, a loss mitigation department. They have all these things set up now. They never used to have that, right, before the crash. So what's happening is they're saying there's a rule. So now when they sell these, they bundle up these mortgages and they sell them off to the secondary market, to Wall Street, wherever it is, or they keep them in their portfolio. There's a rule around them, right? There's a way that they're being instructed on how to service the loan if it goes in default. One of them is a short sale opportunity, which means now this, if the borrower wants to do a short sale, they call the bank up, they get to the right department, and they say, I need to short sell my ass. I'm in trouble. I can't make my payments. The bank has a rule, and they say, okay, you have to put it on the market for 90 days before the foreclosure date because they want the best opportunity to come in. The investors that bought the note, they don't want to take a big hit. They want the majority of the public to bid on their house, their asset, so they can get the most amount of money off their asset to pay back the majority of the loan. Does that make sense? They don't want to take a bigger loss anymore. They want to mitigate the loss. Therefore, these rules are in place. So what he's saying is it's too late because the auction's a month away or a week away, and we don't have time to do a short sale. But on the other hand, they're saying, listen, if you get an offer in tomorrow, we'll take a look at it. We'll stop the foreclosure. I'll send it over to the investor. I'll have them look at it and see if they approve it. We can get the ball rolling right away. But no bank, nobody wants to put out more money, good money into bad. So they're not going to do a BPO, which is a broker's price opinion, which is in lieu of an appraisal on a property to determine whether or not they can accept the offer or what they would counter the offer to, okay? Until they have a legitimate offer and a signed contract and they know the seller is willing to sell their damn house and get nothing because they're going to have rules. Everything's in place. The seller's going to sign a bunch of stuff. They're going to get a 1099 cancellation of debt. They're not going to get a slap on the wrist. They're going to be in trouble for selling their short sale. It's going to go on their credit. They're going to, they're going to understand that they're not going to get anything. They can't make anything on the sale and all this stuff. And so they're going to pay $300, $500 for a BPO. The agent's going to go out there from the broker that they already have enlisted and they already hired beforehand. And then that's when you come in and you meet the BPO agent at the house. That's when you have a conversation and you tell them this deal will not go through if I don't get this price, right? Doesn't mean you're going to get it, but the number one rule of thumb is the more times you tell that agent what the value of the house is and why, the better chance is. Now, the discount is not on the offer. It's not on what's owed. It's what the value of the house is. If the house comes in at 100 grand, right? And you know it's worth 150 today, then you've gotten a $50,000 discount already. They might owe 250 grand. Doesn't matter. The short's going to be a short no matter what. It's not like, oh, they owe 250, so we only can take 200. Well, nobody's going to pay 200 if it's only worth 150. Okay, so they know it has to be based on the value. So their allotment for their discount, especially a VA loan and an FHA loan, they allow for larger discounts. So if the value comes in at 100, it's worth 150. The guy owes 200, doesn't matter, right? But if it's worth 150 and that's what it's worth today and it needs no work, and you get the BPO to come in at 140, it's not a good deal. Like, it's going to be a good deal if you want to move into the house, but there's no room for flipping it. There's no room to create equity, right? But if you can get the BPO agent to value the house at 120 and it's worth 150, and then you get another 10% discount off to 120, that's another $12,000 off, and you get your offer approved at 100 or 106 and it's worth 150 and you can make it worth 170 by fixing it, then you've got yourself a deal. Okay? So, but anytime an offer and a full package goes into the short sale department and they look at it and then they hire the BPO, they'll talk to the people that can stop the foreclosure. They'll postpone it for a month, because it's every month, right? They'll postpone it for a month, and it could be the day, the hour of the foreclosure. The email goes out to the bank. The bank does and when I say the bank, what would be the bank trustee, the trustee attorney office that is representing the bank selling the property at a public auction. They are going to get notification the minute before the auction, the hour before, the day before, whenever it is, from the person that hired them, the bank that hired them, the department that hired them to foreclose on it, and say postpone this. So a guy like me might go down to the auction, might be expecting to bid on this house, and all of a sudden it's not up for auction anymore because it got postponed. Like 60-70% of auctions get postponed anymore, right? Because the bank has all these, I keep saying the bank, there's all these government rules in place because they don't want to foreclose on people's primary residences anymore. They want to have all these options, loan modifications, short sales, all government programs, deferred cash and key, deed in lieu. All these things there's programs now and opportunities where banks are reaching out. It's on, if you look at your mortgage statement, if you go online to pay your mortgage, and you'll see it. If you're having trouble making a payment, call us. There's all these ways to try to help the public not foreclose. So there's these houses are going to auction because that's the rule. It has to be done that way. If the bank doesn't do the right thing, they'll never be able to get their assets sold to get their money back, so they can release the liability, so they can borrow more money from the feds, right? And the clog in the chain of money will get bigger and bigger, and then they'll end up in trouble. So they got to be able to disperse these assets. But in the meantime, they can make it performing by fixing it, modifying it, doing whatever, anything they can do to get the seller, the borrower, to start paying again. Then it becomes an asset. It's no longer a liability, and they can start borrowing from the Fed again. And so, on that particular 100 grand, right? So that's where you're at. So the point is that that's why he said 90 days is the rule, but we'll take an offer tomorrow. It's just like anybody. Like, I'm not throwing this thing away, but by the way, if you want to go around if you want to, make it happen, give me a little cash under the table and I'll let you in without standing in line, is kind of the deal, right? The banks are still going to be willing to do that. It's a bird in hand, right? Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. I'm following.
Any other questions on that?
Nope.
So typically on an auction property, when the house is behind on payments, but is not a short sale, that's when we step in and we do a sub 2, right? Aubrey, you mentioned that the property was $64,000 behind. Typically, if it was not a short sale and there was equity in the property, then you'd be interested in the project, right? You'd want to make sure, number one, you got a contract with your buyer, with your seller, right? And you've got a contract, because you don't want to catch up the mortgage and stop the auction, and then the person owns the house, they just owe you the money, right? You want to be the control of the house. You want to control it. So you control it with a contract, right? The contract has a price, it has a deadline, it has consideration on both ends, right? Then you would be working with the bank, not the bank, I'm sorry. You'd be working with the trustee. You'd get the trustee's number, you get the address, you'd get the right department, you'd call up the trustee and say, I'm going to wire in the funds. If you wire in the funds at the deadline hour, 1 minute before 11, and they get it, they'll stop the auction. It's caught up, right? You're going to find out how much is owed, find out what the bank's going to, what the fees are, how much it was to pay for the trustee, how much the trustee's charging, all the back due taxes, everything that needs to be caught up so that it can go back into good standing. The money will come in, it'll go to the trustee. The trustee will send the rest of the money to the bank, and the trustee will take their cut, and then they'll cancel the auction right there, right? And then now the seller still owns the house unless you have a contract. And at that point, you take over the property, you start making the payments, you get the seller out of there, and that's how you take over a house subject to before. But on a short sale situation, you're never going to send in back due payments, because you're still going to be upside down on the property, right? It doesn't even make sense unless there's some other circumstances. So in a short sale situation, you want to go to the bank first. You want to work with the bank. You want to work with the short sale department, the foreclosure department, whatever department the bank is allocated to do short sales. You want to fax in, fax is old, but you want to fax in or upload the entire short sale department with the offer, signed contract with the seller, so they can get the ball rolling. And they'll be like, wow, we've got a signed contract, looks pretty good. We got to get a BPO going. Let's tell the bank to postpone the auction. Let's tell the trustee. So the trustee will then be notified to postpone the auction. And again, that's never too late. You can do that 3 minutes before the auction, as long as you get the offer in. Yep. The only thing that we have to worry about, and where I haven't seen a short sales class in decades, no, I don't know how long it's been. I haven't watched a short sale class since the last short sale I did, maybe in 2013 or 15 or 17, whatever it was. I didn't even watch it then. So my point is that it's been renewed and there are new laws. So I don't know exactly what the packet is anymore. I would just call that particular bank and get with the right people and just have them tell me what what they need. Do they need a hardship letter? Do they need, bank statements, whatever they need? And then the other thing is, there are rules as to who can negotiate a short sale anymore. It used to be I could negotiate my own damn short sale as the buyer. A lot of times they need a representative that's a licensed professional, depending on the bank and where that is in the portfolio. If it's in the portfolio of the bank, which means the bank still owns the note, right? They still own the note. Or if they sold the note, they've sold off this mortgage, then it's the investor that bought it. It came with a set of rules. That's very true. Yeah. And I never take no for an answer. I don't. If the person that's on the phone can't answer my questions, can't help me out, then I escalate it until someone can. But I do that in everyday life with everybody I need to talk to. Okay. Good thought.
Okay,
So-
perfect. So then basically my next steps would be get the house under contract with the homeowner, and then start negotiating with the trustee and ask them what they need in the packet.
Correct. And reassure the seller. It doesn't matter on a primary residence, a 1099-C is going to be canceled out anyway. There's a rule by the government where they're not going to charge you to lose money on your primary residence and then have to have a tax, in most cases, have to have a tax liability for that. That's what a 1099-C cancellation of debt means, that you took a loan, you didn't pay it back, therefore it's like you got income, and so you should be taxed on it by the government. On an investment property, you'll pay the tax. You'll get the 1099-C, and It'll be like your income, it'll increase your income bracket and you'll be taxed on that unless you have deductions, right? So in this case, you got to let the seller know, listen, it doesn't matter. I don't care if I buy it for $1 or $1 million. The same short sale rules are going to apply here. So you reassure them they have nothing to worry about. And so you make your offer based on what you want to pay for the house, right? And the bank is going to accept the offer. And when I say bank, I'm talking about the department. And if it's an investor-owned loan and you're dealing with the servicer of the debt, then they're going to get the response from the investor that owns the note that they sold it to. But regardless of this, it's going to be based on the value of the house that comes back. So it doesn't matter if they owe $250 and you're worried about, offering $180,000 less than what they owe. That doesn't matter. It's based on what you can resell. So you're going to do your numbers just like normal. You're going to see the as is value, right? You're going to see the after repair value. And if those are the same, then you're going to see whatever discount you're willing to pay for the house, right? And that's what you're going to want for your offer, right? And then you're going to beat up the BPO agent, the person who's doing the evaluation on behalf of the bank, and let them know this is what the value needs to come in at. If it comes in at that value, they will accept your offer or your counter offer will be within reason. But if your offer is 100 and the BPO comes back at 150 and the bank's willing to take a 10% discount on the value of the property, the most they're going to take is 135. So you need to get the house for like 110 or 120 and they're at 135. There's not going to be a deal because the BPO came in too high. Does that make sense?
Yep, that does. So then if the numbers don't work, would
You
he
cancel the
just either
contract.
have to? Okay,
And
gotcha.
it goes to foreclosure. The person's shit out of luck and the short sale isn't an option for them. They got to go back to loan mod. They got to go back to forbearance. They got to go back to deed in lieu. They've got to go back to auction. Whatever it is, you're going to be like, I can't do a short sale until it doesn't go to auction the next month. And then you make another offer. Generally speaking, like an REO, the bank, every time they get a new offer in, they're going to readjust, right? And the BPOs are typically only good for 30 to 60 days. So in 60 days, if it didn't go to auction, you can go back with a new offer again and start the process all over again.
That's so crazy. Thank you. I appreciate all this help.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep. It's the same with an REO. Like when an REO is real estate owned, right? So REO portfolios, everybody has them. If you own a house outside of your primary residence. So banks aren't in the business of having a portfolio of real estate, right? So they get a real estate owned property that's owned by the bank. Banks don't want to fix them up. I mean, they've changed some things nowadays, but for most part, banks don't want to fix them up. They want to get them sold. So they work with REO agents. And again, the bank says, get me a price that's going to sell in 30 days. The REO agent goes out, does an evaluation, tells them what to do to the house. Hey, we got to clean it up at least. It smells like dog shit, whatever the problem is. And the bank does the minimal, and then they put it on the market, and there's a sign in front of the thing, and it's for sale, right? If you're in good with an REO agent, then they call you up before the listing goes out. And they say, I'm going to list this house tomorrow or tonight at 9 o'clock. Do you want to put in an offer earlier? Right. And then the offer comes in. It doesn't matter what the REO offer. It doesn't matter what is the price of the listing price, right? It matters on what you're willing to pay. So the REO agent will give them a 30-day price. And then they'll come back and they'll go, hey, the house didn't sell for 30 days. Do another BPO and tell me what it's going to sell for in the next 30 days, right? Because the bank wants to get rid of it as fast as possible because every month they have a liability, which is an REO. It's not an asset to them, right? To us, it's an asset, right? If we're bringing in rents. But if we have a house that's vacant, that's why we have a list called vacant non-owner or vacant out-of-state absentee owner. These are valuable lists because if the house is vacant, it's no longer an asset. It might have equity, but it's not an asset because it's not bringing any money. It's costing the owner money to hold the property, right? It's costing utilities, it's costing landscaping, it's costing taxes. It's a cost. It's not a asset. So it's a liability. And if the bank has an REO, it's just like they had a non-performing asset. They went through the process of trying to sell the asset at auction. Nobody's interested in their piece of crap asset, or the offer at the auction was too high, right? They were owed 250. They offered it up at 250, but it's really only worth 150. No one's going to bid on it at auction if the opening bid is 250 and the thing's worth 100, right? Or if it's opening bid's 250 and it's worth 200. No one's going to bid on it. So it's going to go back to the bank, and they got this liability now. Again, the same rules apply. The Fed's going to be like, you got a bunch of assets that are not assets, they're liabilities. Until you sell them, we're not lending you money on that. In fact, not only are we not lending you money, you got to put money in a Federal Reserve non-interest bearing account. So you could be solvent and not insolvent. So where was I going with that? So anyway, just like an REO is what I was saying. So you want to be able to make an offer every month, and every time you, just like anything else, it gets stale, right? When you list a house on the MLS and it's a normal sale, right? You put it out there and it's too high, or you didn't paint it, or you didn't clean it, or you didn't declutter it. People are coming in and no one's offering on your house, and everybody's looking at it. It's been on the MLS 60 days, 90 days. You start to drop the price. It's a stale property. Unless you do what? You change the photos, you get a different broker, you change the listing to make it look like a new listing again, right? Not just dropping the price, but you change the, and it's a new listing. It's a, you know what I mean? Otherwise, every single month, the people that are actually looking at the house are going to offer less. It has a stigma on it, right? If it's an HOA, do I have to worry about catching up that working? Yes. HOA is first position, believe it or not, behind taxes. What that means is it doesn't matter. HOAs typically are never going to foreclose if you think about it, because it's not their business, right? They just are entitled to put liens on the property like a tax, right? And so therefore they know whenever it gets sold at auction, whenever it gets sold on short sale, whenever it gets sold anywhere, whenever transfer of title will occur, they will be paid by whoever is buying the property or selling the property, right? If I'm selling the property as a homeowner and I'm losing money, then I'm not going to pay for it, right? But it will get paid by the trustee. It'll get paid by the auctioneer. It'll get paid by the bank. So you don't have to worry about paying it necessarily, but it will be on the HUD and it will be an expense. You can negotiate the lien, right? If you're buying a short sale, it's going to be paid in full because it's technically in front of the first position lender. So therefore, when you go to make your offer and you have all your fees to pay for at the closing title, at the closing table, HOA fees will be on there. If there's, and now again, if they're $300, $400 and he's back 2 years, how much can it be? Right? $8,000. It's not a ton of money, but it is negotiable. You can get with the HOA and you can say, listen, I'm buying this on short sale. It's already a big deal. I'm going to have to fix it all up. Would you take a discount? Just like anything, like a tax lien, like anything else, it's negotiable. If you buy a house and it has a tax lien on it and you don't negotiate the tax lien, you're going to pay the tax lien in full. It's in first position. Yep. Good questions. But they're all negotiable. You can get a temporary authorization from the individual that owed the IRS or the state government, whatever it is. Property taxes, not negotiable, right? But IRS taxes, income taxes are all negotiable. You can call up on behalf of the seller. You can explain their situation, send in a hardship letter, do all this stuff, and you can negotiate a tax lien and you can reduce it. I've reduced tax liens from 60, 80,000 to 12, 11. I did one for like $3,000 and the guy owed like 82 grand, right? Now it took a minute. I mean, the guy owned the house free and clear. So I not only had to pay him, but I had to pay the IRS. I didn't want to pay the IRS 82. I wouldn't have been able to pay him anything. So in order to get him his maximum amount, I had to negotiate on the behalf of him to negotiate with the IRS. All right. Oh, right. Let's go to oh, that's her notes. So I didn't catch, I had some meetings yesterday. I did not catch the not the investor network, Invest Edge anymore. I didn't catch the founders. And Mehalani mentioned it. I don't know if anybody wants to comment on that or expand on that, or Mehalani, if you have anything you want to bring up about it. And then the other thing is, if anybody else has any additional comments, if I said something that may not be as accurate anymore, because I haven't done a short sale since 2017. And it's possible that you have new information that I don't have. You may have watched the class and there's new information from the class that I don't have. So therefore, you're welcome to elaborate, correct me if I'm wrong, and or offer any other insight to Aubrey on this deal. But back to what Aubrey said, yes, get the contract, get it under contract, get the guy's bank statements for 90 days, get him to hear them to write a hardship letter, even if the bank doesn't require it. I mean, hardship letters, I'm telling you, I had them hand write it, sign it, drop a couple tears on it, spill some coffee on it. I'm not even joking. And it's going to an actual person, believe it or not. And then I brought that damn hardship letter to the BPO, right? And I'd be like, if we don't get this done, this person's going to be ass out. They're going to lose everything. All these houses are for sale in the area. Look at the market, look at the interest rates today. No one's going to be buying this house. The bank's going to end up with this piece of crap. They're going to be in a liability situation. If I've got a buyer right now, right? I don't ever tell them I'm the buyer. I got a buyer right now who's willing to pay this is a decent amount of money for this house. I know it's probably worth a few bucks more, but this is all they can afford. But whatever you say, and I say the price 20 times. Man, if I'm telling you, man, if we could get 20 grand for this house, I just can't believe what a relief it'll be to everybody. The 20,000 is a lot of money, but at least someone's willing to pay it, and just stuff like that. But anyway, start collecting some of that information so you can send it into the bank, but get it under contract and get the ball rolling. That goes, folks, for anything and everything you do. If you see a deal, if something comes across your desk, if you're waiting for my dumbass to get back to you, if anything is out there, if you put the property under contract, which means you make an offer and you have the seller sign the offer, you have bought yourself. Nobody can come in behind you and buy it. They can't change their mind, right? There's no outs for the seller in your contract. All the outs are for you, right? You can in your contract, especially on a short sale, on a hoarder house, on a commercial property, something of higher value, put in a longer inspection period, right? Put in a contingency that it has to be appraised. Put in a contingency that your dead aunt's grandma's sister's brother has to come view it from California because he's a contractor, right? I don't know. So that you buy yourself time. You don't even need all those contingencies. I'm just saying they can buy even more time than a 10-day inspection can for you, right? Anyway, but it puts you in position to where you are next in line to buy the house, first in line to buy the house until you decide not to buy it. Because in the meantime, if you're doing all this research, you're working with the banks, you're trying to stop a foreclosure, you're getting money gathered up, and you're not under contract, and some Yahoo comes in, swipes in, and just makes it all go away, you've just wasted hours and hours and hours of time. And until we are a nonprofit where we go around and save people's properties for free, you don't want to do that. You don't want to work on short sales. You don't want to work on REOs. You don't want to work on subject twos if you're not going to get the deal done, right? And not get paid. And someone else swoops in and gets paid on it. If you're nonprofit, all you're willing to do is you don't care who buys it, You don't care how it gets done. All you want to do is help the seller. That's great. But if you're not nonprofit, you want to help the seller, but God forbid you like to get paid for your time. Yep.
Yeah, and it's important that you stay organized with your paper, your paperwork, because when you send in the packet to the short sale department, and then they say, "Oh, well, we only need this piece to the foreclosure department," you still send the whole packet, because then they might say, "Oh, you left page 42 out, and we have to reject it and put you at the bottom." So I would just send the same packet to everybody every time and make sure it's complete, organized, hardship letter, financials, everything just organized at the same time. Super easy for the person to open it up, click approve, and move on to their next file. If you make their life easier, your short sales will get approved a lot faster.
And honestly, I always get a login information to their bank, right? Now everything's online. So whoever the mortgagee is, the mortgagor rather, I get their bank statement, their mortgage statement, and then I get their login and password and I'll log in. And the most likely there's an electronic way to do the short sale. It'll tell you what you need. They'll have to fill out some paperwork or an electronic form that is specific to that bank. Um, and that will need to be done before they can proceed. And even look at the offer and order the BPO. Would be my guess, right? Unless you're dealing with a hard money lender, those guys, go right after them. But you know what I'm saying? So, but you could do it all yourself. You could type in all the information, get it all from the seller, and you could do it all, right? And then whenever I take over a subject to property, I change the login and password and I make it for me. So as far as the bank's concerned, they're dealing with me and I'm Joe, I'm John Smith, but I'm making the payments online myself. It's coming out of my bank account. I'm controlling the whole thing. And that person no longer has any access to their mortgage statement.
Control is the name of the game. Cool. Well, we're excited to find out how it works.
Yeah. Anybody else, thoughts, comments, questions, any insight you want to add? Oh my God, yeah, Aubrey, I'm sorry. Thank you for bringing it up on this call. I should have damn well called you back, and it keeps me up at night when I miss calls. Miss Doug's call today, and it just drives me nuts. And then I forget, and it's not that I forget. I just run out of time, or I get to it too late, or yeah, schedule things that I can't. I'll be remembering while I'm at the meeting. I'm like, oh crap, I didn't call this person back. So just hit me up again. Um, yeah, where do you want me to start? Start from the beginning? That's funny. Yeah, I love it. Sometimes I forget that I remember this stuff. Did that make sense?
Also, to Mahealani's question about the founders and how just the different association to goals versus standards, and how Snyder's conducted himself throughout the years. So yeah, it was a pretty in-depth topic. What did you want to emphasize about that?
Yeah.
Because yeah, I get what he's saying about standards and goals. Goals being the direction, and then your minimum daily standards. Like, yeah, it comes up quite a bit in the spring and summertime out in the garden. Like the daily, if you don't do this, it's so obvious the next day that you neglected it. But that's so visual and in your face. What about for your leads, your deal analysis, your building for events, the daily minimums?
Yeah, I think I was listening to it, and all my life I've always thought it's good to have goals. You want to focus on goals, and if you can focus on your goal that you'll reach it. And Bob Snyder's was explaining last night that you're not going to reach your goals unless you're doing something on the daily. And so I'm trying to change my mindset now of what do I need to do on the daily to eventually reach my goals? Because he was talking about how I don't know how to explain it, but like a goal is either a pass or fail, right? Either you do it or you don't. Either you achieve the goal or you don't. And he was explaining that you have to create your daily standard to get to where you want to be. And so I was just listening to his thing and made me look at goals in a different view. Because we all have our goals. We all want to, get six figures. We all want to, bring in students. We all want to do all these things, but we can't do it unless we set ourselves to a certain standard every day.
Yep, I think that the daily standard thing would be a concentration practice, because without that, you're not going to manifest anything. Concentrating, we talk about with the self-confidence formula, concentrating on who you want to be, but that gets you clarity on your financial goals, your physical goals, your relationship goals. So the daily minimum standard would be something about concentration practice, aka meditation. And I do it differently on different days or weeks depending on what I need, but that's like the daily standard in my world because it feels like it touches every other dimension of life. Bill?
Well, I think one of the things that, and I'll share a secret that I thought about yesterday, but one of the things I find with goals is like, and I totally agree with you. Yeah, I mean it only makes sense, right? The goal is the end, and then there's a I don't know what I'm looking at. There's a destination, of course, to get there, right? And that's what you're talking about with the standards. I think that it's important that we have to listen to others that are wealthy and that have gotten to where we want to go, and then understand what options there are, like how people either set goals or achieve goals or, work towards goals. Like in this case, the way Bob was talking about doing daily standards and stuff like that, the difference between a goal and a standard. And then, and then we have to make it our own. Like I'm not a big goal guy. I don't write goals down and stick them up on my mirror, right? Or, I don't carry them in my wallet, for example, right? But that's not to say that's the wrong way or the right way. It's just what works for you. And I think that, but I think one way or the other, it's kind of like prayer. There has to be some sort of faith, right? Or some, I guess it doesn't have to be, but everybody has their own way of incorporating. Now, if it's not working for you, then maybe we need to enhance it, right? So if I'm not uh, practicing faith every day or every Sunday, then but my life is aligned, then perhaps I have to enhance what it is that I'm doing, whether I choose not to go on Sunday, but I still believe, but then I don't pray at all, right? So I don't know why I just use prayer as an example, but what I'm saying is you know what I mean? If the way that you're doing it, not you, Mahalani, but us in general, the way we're doing it, if we're setting goals and we're not achieving them, or we're not achieving them fast enough, or we've set goals that are just unrealistic, whatever the case is, then we have to evaluate that at the end of the year and be like, okay, I've not only got to reevaluate my goals and reset them, but I've got to also figure out how I'm going to achieve them. And then perhaps we study somebody again. We go out and study somebody that makes sense to us. We, find a podcast, whatever it is that is going to, teach us how perhaps it might gel with us better than the way that we're doing it already. I just don't believe what I'm saying is that there's this one thing where you set a goal and you set these daily standards and then this is how you achieve it and that works for everybody, if that makes sense. I think that we need to, you need to customize it, like your insurance. Just kidding. outside of that, yeah, you can reach me. 760-533-3141 is my cell phone. 760-533-3141. I just put it in the text in the chat. Again, if you text me, call me, whatever, if I don't have your number, just tell me who you are and I'll put you in my phone. And then if I don't get back to you that day, then hit me up again and call me. If you call me, leave a message because I will keep the message on my messages and not delete them until my mailbox is full so that I make sure I call you back. If it's urgent, then you need to let me know it's urgent and you need to, when you need me to talk to you by. I don't do this on purpose, you guys. I swear I do it to my own friends. Like last night, yesterday, my buddy, he's like, "Oh, are you available tomorrow?" And I almost forgot about it till I went to bed. I'm like, "Oh shit." And it was one of my best friends from Vail. And I'm like, "Oh, yes, like, call me tomorrow." So yeah. So one of the things I was thinking about is so I was watching this I'm watching this new documentary on this murder of this family. And this guy was a prominent builder. And he built a pretty good life. Did very well. They were pretty wealthy. But he amassed a $45 million net worth, which is pretty good. You know, it's not in today's standards. I guess it probably would have been more today than it would have been, you know, during the 80s and 90s and 2000s when this family, when he was at his prime. But my my thought to this is that um you know, he worked 50 years as a major builder and developer in a prominent area. And, you know, with Renatus and our ability to purchase property with very little money of our own, right? Where you don't need cash of your own money to buy property, right? So if Aubrey uses the short sale method, um, in a way, she could raise a little bit of private money. She could get a hard money loan, and she could acquire a property with equity through her negotiation skills on the short sale and own the property or rent it out, right? And then refinance it into a DSCR loan, basically a non-income based loan, but an income producing loan, right? A debt service coverage ratio loan, and own a piece of property where no one else knows how to do that, right? We can utilize multiple strategies like deal of the decade, subject to owner financing, to create a BRRRR method, right? To create a property where we buy it, we get some sort of temporary financing on it, we improve the value of the property, right? Of course, we use our credit classes to increase our credit, hopefully, because the better credit you have, the better. It's not contingent upon the loan, but the better credit you have, the lower the interest rate, the higher the LTV, right? So you don't have to create as much equity in the property in order to get the loan based on your credit. So it is important to have good credit. Even if you don't, you can still do it, right? If you're beginning, you're just working on this. But if you're not beginning and you've had this education for a while and you don't have good credit, then you should be working on it. It should be a primary goal, and a 2026 goal, because you can get better DSCR loans, better non-QM, non-qualifying mortgage loans, right? With better interest rates, higher loan to values, which means you don't have to work as hard to create as much equity in the property and you can still get it refinanced without using income, right? You could have no job and get an 80% loan to value loan in first position, take out all of your private money lenders, all of your fix up costs and your hard money lender or first mortgage, and having a loan for 30 years on an interest only 5-year arm and cash flow the shit out of the property, right? With strictly knowledge. That's a lot then. That's a lot more than I was thinking. I can't remember. I'm gonna have to look at the date because I'm not done with the movie yet. But I'll have to see when it was that he passed away with that amount. Which is a lot more than I thought. So my point is though, is with Renatus and our knowledge and having a little extra income, right? Clearly, when you have a business that generates extraordinary amounts of extra cash, you couple that with knowledge that we have in Renatus, you can accelerate your ability to retire sooner and or create a larger net worth and have a legacy faster, right? When you think about people in the top 1%, um, they retire wealthy, but it still takes them a long time, right? They weren't making $1 million at 21 unless they're a professional athlete. And even then, they're spending a lot of their money. They're being taxed on a lot of their money because they're not sophisticated enough, right? They have people in their pockets they don't even know that are in their pockets, right? I'm sure it's better today than it was before. People are learning to protect their money better as athletes and superstars and that sort of thing. But um, even people that are doctors, lawyers, CEOs, and things like that are making a ton of money, they still have to know where to put the money, right? To avoid tax problems, to avoid inheritance taxes for the family, to set up trusts and things like this. Um, so it still takes time, right? And the average Joe, us, we can be a part of this and learn how to accumulate that wealth. Um, and if we could create a business or use the marketing business in addition to our job to create extra cash flow, then you can buy more property. You can buy properties that don't take as much work, right? What I mean by that is, if you have no money and no credit, you're going to need to create a really good deal, right? So that you can borrow the money uh, from a private money lender and put them in a good position and the hard money lender, right? And then when you go to refinance the property, you don't have to be at 60 or 70%. You could be at 75 or 80% loan to value, right? And then you could do it more than once, right? Because if you've got the cash to catch up the mortgage and you got an extra 20 grand to catch up a mortgage on a sub two with the bank, then you don't have to borrow, you don't have to share it with an equity partner, right? So like the last two houses that I built, my wife and I did it on our own. We didn't have a partner. I didn't borrow private money for them. So when I got $1 million of equity in them, I kept them. I didn't have to pay anybody off. I didn't have to sell the house in order to pay back a private money lender, right? I just refinanced the property into a DSCR loan and kept the equity myself. My net worth goes up significantly, and it's in a market that goes up significantly. So, um, it helps to have good credit. In fact, my wife has much better credit than I do. She has much less utilization. So I put properties in her name all the time. Or she does, you know what I mean? And so anyway, just think about these things. And my point is that I mean, we don't have to have some super skill, be some super builder and be some super CEO to get a good piece of the pie. We have to be educated and then really be willing to put the education to work, right? But we have to supplement, we have to complement the education through our own ability to be smart, to have the right LLC, right? To have the right entity, to learn to pay less in taxes, and to have good credit, and to build reserves, right? When you want to do really good loans, it's nice to have reserves. The bank likes to see it. Even hard money lenders, construction lenders, you know, you become a better, less risk borrower. Anytime you can do that for yourself or partner with, or have your wife or your spouse or your significant other do that for you or a family member, then you can ride those coattails until you fix it yourself. But we have all the education and all the tools and all the classes and all the study groups to be able to better ourselves in those ways. And that will improve your ability to accelerate your net worth and your financial situation. It's cool to start out having no money, no credit, live in a freaking barn, whatever the deal is, and have no car. But that only gets you so far, and then you're just working all the time. You're just grinding at a different level. You're grinding in a different profession because it doesn't allow you to move very quickly in this field, if that makes sense. Right. I got a call at 10, and I got to make a call before my call at 10. It's 9:34 here. I got to get more coffee. Anything else?
I think we just got to keep spreading the good word, right? It's spread the word about your own personal real estate business, about others' businesses. Like I talk about Tamara's and Dane's all the time because I come across things that don't fit mine. So anyway, talk about each other's businesses, spread the good word that way too. Excited to show you guys even more about what Earl and I have worked on in the background, behind the scenes with some different platform investing stuff. By the way, no gamblers allowed. Okay, if you have a gambler's mindset when you come to that workshop, we will turn you away. Okay, professionals only. So thank you, Bill, for being here, answering questions, and Aubrey, excited about the action that you're taking. I know you're making a difference, whether this deal works out or not.
Yeah, she's really getting a lot of things. She's out there networking, getting deals. This isn't the first deal. She's coming up with new deals every week, so it's great.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
yep,
Action is rewarded. So well
yep.
done.
And yeah, yep. What was I just gonna say? Oh, no, I'm gonna walk the dogs now on my first
Oh,
call.
the dogs.
That's why Gracie was barking earlier and I had to shut her. She was very mad. But luckily my wife is out there, so she's probably calm right now, but otherwise she'd be at this door barking.
Well, all right. Appreciate you spending this time with us this morning, and I know a lot of others learned while listening. Same thing, Mehelani. Thank you for your insight and tuning in. Founders Live stuff is good. Gilda, thank you for sharing. Eric, everyone else, and we'll see you tomorrow for Wealth Wednesday. Then we're going to be picking up Thriving Thursday, and stay tuned for a big January. Lots to work on. Stay focused, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for another exciting
All
episode.
right,
Take
cool.
care. Bye for now. Mwah.
Thanks, everybody.